You are tuned in to the Post Route. Thank you for joining us. Here is our host, W. Earl Kitchings.
And good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Post Route, the show where we dive deep into conversations with Black quarterbacks, both past and present. I'm your host, W. Earl Kitchings. This show is proudly brought to you by Quarter Phi Back, the preeminent fraternity for Black quarterbacks and home of the prestigious BIP Memorial Trophy, the only award that honors both the top HBCU quarterback and the top Black quarterback from high schools from across the United States. We are thrilled to have you with us as always tonight. And if you enjoy our content and want to support what we're doing, all we ask is that you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and or tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Join us live every Monday night at 7 o'clock for more phenomenal conversations here on the Post Route. Happy 2025 to all our fans, our viewers, and our listeners. We are so thrilled and honored to be with you to start another year here at the Post Route. And we are just excited, as always, that we have another exciting guest who we will be bringing to you tonight. You know, when you get an opportunity to be the quarterback of any team, you have a lot of pressure on you at times and a lot of expectations at times. And then when you transition to becoming a coach or a guru of your particular skill craft, I don't know if that adds additional pressure or not, but pressure, expectations are all the same. And our guest tonight, man, let me tell you, here's a guy who had an opportunity. You know, it's one thing to play at one college in the same conference, but when you get a chance to play at two colleges in the same conference, boy, you know you got a big target on your back. So before we get to our guest tonight, who has played at two colleges in the SIAC, we want you to know that next week we are looking forward to announcing the 2024 BIP Memorial Trophy winners from the HBCUs and from the high school levels, or as we call it, the interscholastic level. This will be our third year in doing this, and we are looking forward. We're excited to find out just who will be the next honorees to be at that upper level of who we are here at Quarter Phi Back. It's been a great season, and let me tell you, we've seen some phenomenal things from the standpoint of having a quarterback throw for over 800 yards in high school in one game to another quarterback passing for over 6,000 yards through the whole season. Add that to what's going on with the guys who got a chance to play at the collegiate level at the HBCUs, at colleges across the country, because we track them all from HBCUs to FCS to FBS to Power Four. We don't skip a beat. We don't miss out. And we even do the professionals. And as all seasons are coming to an end and they're getting ready to delve into the national championship for colleges, as the pros get ready to start their playoff season, as high schools have completed their run to become state champions, we've got another great year to give you of all the names and people, quarterbacks who are associated with what we're doing, because again, we track them all state by state at the high school level, colleges across the country, Division One, Division Two, pros at both the NFL and the CFL, Canadian Football League. We don't skip anybody. And if we do, we hope that you, as a fan, as an interested listener and viewer, will tell us who we need to catch up on, or where we did not complete our mission, because our mission is to preserve the legacies of Black quarterbacks. We take that to heart, and we mean that with every fiber of what we do here at the Post Route and through our organization, Quarter Phi Back. We just want to make sure that these men never have their legacies forgotten about. And As we start the 2025 year, we want to let you know that every month, starting tonight, we're going to add one more member to our fraternity of black quarterbacks on a posthumous level. So every month, we will recognize one black quarterback posthumously to become a member of Quarter Five Back, the preeminent fraternity for black quarterbacks. So, with that being said, we're going to bring on our guest tonight, a gentleman who played at Savannah State to start off his collegiate career, ended his career at Fort Valley State, had a phenomenal career there with the Wildcats, left there and went on to go into coaching, and now he's a guru for teaching young men. If you want to know the techniques, the skills, all there is to know about being a quarterback, he's one of those gurus out there now teaching and teaching it the right way. Please welcome our guest tonight, Mr. Coach Garrett 10 Williams. Coach
Hey,
Williams, welcome to the Post Route.
thank you, man. Thank you for having me, man. Hey, I've been anticipating this for a long time. I appreciate this.
Man, you just don't know. Every time I bring one of you guys on, man, it's like Christmas Day to me.
Yeah, man. It feels the same for me, man.
I
But yeah,
appreciate, I
yes, sir.
appreciate that.
Yes,
I
sir. Yes,
appreciate
sir.
that.
Yes,
No
sir.
doubt, no doubt. So, Coach, you had a pretty interesting career path since high school.
hmm
Um, since high school, when you played at high school, because a lot of times guys don't always go past high school, but
Right.
you were blessed, you were fortunate, you got an
Absolutely.
opportunity. You know, talk a little bit about what it's like when guys don't actually get that next opportunity, because I know you're teaching guys how to become quarterbacks, but talk a
hmm
little bit about what guys need to understand, that hey, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, some of the things they need to be focused in on if they're going to go to that next level.
Um, and for me, I was the one of the kids that for a while, like I was on the cusp.
Yeah.
I didn't get a lot of early offers. But my coaches knew, my parents knew that they were gonna come. I was somewhat of a late bloomer. I shot up to about 6'3" and a half, pretty fast, like later,
Okay.
in my high school career. So when I got to 10th grade, I was roughly about 5'8", 5'9", and then by that summer I was 6'1". And then,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I was kind
Wow.
of a late bloomer. So I didn't get my first offer until my senior year. So I say all that to say this, for those guys that, you know, haven't gotten those offers, I just tell them, to stay focused. Definitely stay in tune with their craft. In today's age, you got a lot of guys out here who work, who train like myself. I encourage these guys to get with somebody um, that knows what they're doing. And if you can't afford them, hey, work a come up with a budget and be honest
Yeah.
with whoever you're trying to work with. And a lot of times people like myself and trainers, they'll see the potential and see if you're serious, and they'll work with you. So I really encourage kids to that aren't getting all those offers, just continue to work. If this is something you really want to do, just continue to work. Uh, reach out. Social media, there's so many outlets, like reaching out to these schools, getting on Twitter, emailing these schools, sending them your film. Like, this day and age, it's a lot different, than when I was playing ball 20 years ago. So, you don't have to wait on your coaches. You can kind of do things on your own now.
Gotcha. So,
Yes,
Coach,
sir.
what do you say to a young man to help them flip the switch from working to working hard? Because you can work and then
Mhm.
it doesn't really work out for you. What do you say about that?
Um, from working to working hard, whew, man, honestly, with working hard, I just it's got to be in you, everybody's out here working, but just going to that next level, like that 1%, like it's kind of got to be in you. A lot of times, I I read a book called Mamba Mentality by Kobe,
Yep.
and I tell a lot of my players, to read that book, and understand what that 1% and how they really move and how they really think. Like,
Right.
you think you're working hard, okay, until you read this book and realize, like, hey, Kobe Bryant was a family man, and instead of um substituting time for his family, he substituted time for like sleep. Hey, I got to get up a little bit earlier to
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
to get it in. And
Exactly.
I tell my players, I'm like, you talking, this was a grown man with a family, but was out working, everybody. You're still a kid with no responsibilities. Like, what's your excuse? So I think, a lot of times with that work ethic, it's got to definitely be in you, and it's got to be, that hunger. Like, a lot of kids aren't, they're talented, but it's a few percent that's really just really hungry. Like, they just,
Right. Right.
even, this is with kids you train, kids you coach, like, it's just those few that it's just like, Jesus, like, this kid is just like, he's adamant about, like, he just, there's no stop for him. Like, he just wants to work all the time. So, for those kids that are like that, I always try to encourage them and, praise them for that. Like,
Right.
hey, look, your work ethic is not being overlooked. Like, I see what you're doing. Like,
Okay.
keep it going. And then for the kids who don't have that work ethic, it's like, hey, look at this kid over here. Wonder why he's successful. Look what he's doing. Hey, he's at practice, 20 minutes early. He's leaving late. He's watching film. Like, these are the things, that I try to preach to my kids.
Well, that's an interesting thing because first to recommend to them to read a book by one of the greatest basketball players we've ever known
Mm-hmm.
to understand the work ethic because
Yeah.
Kobe's work ethic rivaled Michael Jordan's work ethic, and
Yes.
to transition that into football, Walter Payton and Jerry Rice worked
Mm-hmm.
hard
Yes.
to be the great players that they were. It didn't just happen just because they strapped it up and got out there and was doing things. They went at it and worked hard. And I know a lot of people don't always want to work hard. You
Right.
know, they want to turn it on and off. But like you said, you got to be passionate. You got to be hungry. You got to have a desire.
Yes.
And when they've got a guy like you who can disseminate between, okay, this guy is hungry, this
Mm-hmm.
kid is so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not gonna not spend time with the kid that's not working hard, but I
Right.
can already tell that his time is gonna be short because he's not hungry.
Right.
He's not really that hungry.
And especially at the position, we play or played, like those intangibles. I tell my parents a lot, like those things we can't touch. And
Right.
like, those things matter somewhat more than the tangibles. Like, okay, good quarterbacks, you go to these showcases and these camps. Every kid out there can throw a football. You can
Right.
tell everybody's been trained. But what are those intangibles, like the moxie, like the leadership, the personality, the charisma? Like, when the kid walks in the room, everybody kind of gravitate to them. Those type of things, like, they just can't be taught. And that's like more so what I look for when I'm training kids, and the formula, like the kids that I kind of keep with K10, like, and that stay with K10. Like, it's got to be a certain, like, intangible they have, like,
Okay.
in order for me to, like, keep training them, honestly.
And coach, I appreciate you wanting to be that extra person, guru, the coach, the mentor, the person that's going to help these young players because some of them don't have male role models or just males in their lives to
Right.
help groom and train them.
Right.
And my father was a football coach.
Right.
And in the time of his maybe 20 years of coaching, I, I could always see how guys gravitated toward him
Mm-hmm.
and things he would tell them. They would do things for him they might not do for somebody else. That's just a life dynamic.
It is.
Coach said do it, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
My uncle said do it, but when I look at guys like yourself and some other black quarterbacks who
Mm-hmm.
played that position, who are now teaching young men this position of quarterbacking, because it is the iconic position.
For
It
sure.
is it is that iconic position.
It
So
is.
there are some other intangibles that I'm sure you are working with these young men on,
Hmm.
because you don't want them to have that letdown because the system, they didn't understand the system, and the system failed them. Not that they didn't have it, but the system. And you know that that system is out there.
Yes. Uh, so, and it's crazy because like when parents bring their kids into my program,
Right.
like of course they know I train quarterbacks, but a lot of them know they don't know that I'm a school teacher. And then
Okay.
I tell them that, and it's like they take like a sigh of relief, like, oh, okay. So he's just not developing athletes, he's developing kids all in all.
Right.
So,
Right.
like, the kids in my classroom gravitate to me just like the kids I coach, and I
Yep.
treat them all the same. Um, and especially, at the quarterback position, I mean, majority of the kids I do train are African American. I do have, other kids of, other nationalities, and I treat them just as, it's just
Absolutely.
it's one big family.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we treat everybody the same because at the end of the day, we're all people,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but to that demographic, the African American demographic, I explained to them like, the evolution of like the black quarterback. Like you
Hmm.
guys are in a really good place in 2025 playing this position.
Right.
It's came a long way even since, I was in college. I can only imagine, where it was 40, 50 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Because there was so many schools, the bigger colleges, they wanted me to play other positions.
That's
And
right.
I told my dad, I was like, nah, pops, like, you know, if the bigger schools don't want me, I'll just go the HBCU route, and I'll just tell these
Right.
kids now, like, opportunities, they're bigger for you guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
But as a black quarterback, stability, like, and I talk about this to my parents all the time, like,
Okay.
if there's no stability in the home, you can kind of see, you know, uh, how can I say this? It's going to be hard for them to play this position if they don't have stability in the home.
Right.
You
Right.
said your father was a football coach.
Yep.
My dad wasn't a football coach, but I was able to talk to him and see him every day, and being led, by men. A black
Yep.
man is important for black quarterbacks to see. It might not be dad, it might be that coach, it might be that uncle, but they
Right.
need some type of figure, in my opinion, to
Hmm.
be able to be successful at this position. And those are those intangibles I was talking about.
Well, all the intangibles are important because uh, during my lifetime, having seen black quarterbacks always, even now, even
Mm.
now. I mean, it's not just something that happened years ago and it doesn't happen anymore. It still happens where guys are being asked who were quarterbacks to transition to play wide out, defensive back, safety,
Right,
linebacker.
right.
Okay, they're being asked to, and they get tagged. And this happened recently here in my hometown, where the guy who was the offensive player of the year,
Hmm.
when they have the all city honors and things, he was the offensive player of the year, but he wasn't the first team quarterback. Although
Wow.
he was on the team, on the first team as an athlete.
Right.
He wasn't the first team quarterback,
Quarterback for
but he
that
was the
reason.
offensive player of the
Of the
year.
year. Got you.
Okay, so these are the kinds of things that we have to prepare our young men to understand. Hey, man,
Yes.
things like this happen,
Yep.
and we need to make sure you're grounded so you don't lose focus and lose sight of what's important, because there will be times where they're going to ask you, um, hey, Garrett, we're going to move you over here to cornerback.
Right.
I'm a quarterback, coach.
For sure.
I'm a quarterback.
For
Yeah, but
sure.
we need, we hey, the lamp, but we need you We need you over here playing this cornerback.
I
I
listen,
feel you, coach. I'm a quarterback.
and it was two colleges, Power 5 schools that I walked in like, dang, he's a big kid. Like, yeah, our quarterback room is full. Like, yeah, they were telling me that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll offer you as a safety. I just looked at my dad like, nah, man, I'm not. I'll go to college and I'll be back home the same semester because I'm just not gonna. That's not what I want to do.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, like you said, but I was sure of myself. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? And I think that's what that goes back to, like reassuring these men, like these young men, like who they are.
Yep.
So when that comes, they're just not. When that time comes, they're just not jumping on that boat because it sounds good, or this is the bigger school. My friends they're gonna think I'm cool because hey, I'm going to Tennessee versus a Tennessee State. Like
Oh yeah.
so just keeping them grounded and confident and understanding who they are. That's a part of what I do as well outside of train. With the mechanics and the fundamentals. Like I really test these kids, and they're very battle tested when they come to see me.
We're seeing in the thing some of them don't even know, and if they don't have someone like yourself or maybe even me, because I don't mind sharing wisdom and knowledge with any young man or any person that's seeking it. So if you ask a kid, have you ever heard of this test called the Wonderlic test? And they're like, Coach, I ain't never heard of that test. Let me tell you what that is. It's an aptitude test that they give guys who play quarterback who are black to weed them out of being in that position when they go to the NFL. That's what it basically comes down to. So this test was developed years ago, and in my research of reading about it, when they would score the test, they would release the scores of the black quarterbacks who did not do well, but they wouldn't release the scores of the white quarterbacks. So a new sports psychologist has come out with a new type of aptitude test.
Right.
And recently, Justin Fields scored, I think the top score, 100 is always going to be the highest you can get. But he scored like 130 on the test.
And didn't C.J. Stroud do poorly on that test?
They probably do poorly on the test because it's not an important thing to them.
Right.
But it's not so much how well you do on the test as opposed to understanding what not doing well on the test is going to do for your future.
Got you.
Right. So they talk about, Justin Fields, this guy scored the highest they'd ever had on a test, 130. Your IQ at football is 130. If the highest is 100 and you had 130, dude, you must be very intelligent. You're a very smart guy. Right. So that has been something that has minimized guys in the NFL. A test, an aptitude test to determine your aptitude, and some of the questions have nothing to do with football.
Got you.
How many miles is the moon away from the sun? What that's got to do with football?
Nothing at all. It doesn't have to do with any coverages or me anticipating the safety rolling down or nothing.
None of that.
Nothing.
But it helps them to weed you out of being in that position. Well, coach, he probably won't get what we're trying to do, so let's see about moving him. And that has been a thing for me because it still goes on, as subtle as it may be. It still goes on. So in preparing a young man, not just with his physical abilities and talent, his mental.
Absolutely.
Okay? So you gotta stay on top of your books. And guys don't understand. Football is not like basketball or baseball. You can get to the pros if you don't go to college in football. I mean, in basketball or baseball. You can get to the pros. You can't do it. You can't get to the pros unless you're in college.
Right.
You can't get there.
Right.
So that aptitude, that intelligence factor, that academic factor has to be something they have to understand. Son, you gotta get your book, son.
Yes.
You gotta know this stuff.
Yes.
You're a talent, but that's a way for them to tell you no. It's like same thing with, Garrett, if you had your degree, man, we'd hire you tomorrow.
Yep.
You don't have your degree. You're a sharp guy. So these are the things that I think are important. And, like I said, when guys like yourself are teaching A to Z, I mean, I'm not just teaching you the basics. I'm teaching you A to Z, son. And whether you get there or not, you can still take that A to Z knowledge that I'm giving you to life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
To life.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now, Coach, you started at Savannah State. You ended up at Fort Valley. I know the target got real big on your back when you went from one SIAC school to the other one. Not just one SIAC school, but in the same state, in the same conference.
Yeah.
What was that like, man? I mean, I know that had to be kind of an interesting thing when it came game day.
So at the time, we was actually Savannah State was in the MEAC. So
okay, gotcha.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So they left the SIAC. They went independent for a while.
Right.
Went to the MEAC.
Gotcha.
But we would still play. When I was at Fort Valley, we played Savannah State the year after I transferred there. So
okay.
But yeah, right. So it was interesting. It was. And when I was at Savannah State, I mean, I had an amazing time. I wound up starting all 4 years. And I came in, of course, I came in as the backup.
Right.
And the quarterback who was there, he was a 3-year starter. But he was more so of an athlete and was comfortable at the receiver position. So he struggled the first couple games.
Right.
And by game 2, second half, I was in the fire. And I told myself, if I get in this fire, I'm never looking back. They get me in here, they give me this opportunity. I'm not looking back because I didn't have a lot of schools looking at me already. So I just made a promise to myself, when I get this opportunity, I'm gonna shine, and have a good time. And I did. We wound up, in 9 games, setting a couple records that still stand there, most completions in the season, most attempts in the season, second in single season passing yards at the school. That stands. I almost broke that record. I needed like 100 more yards. So those records stood. Had a good coach there. They wound up firing him, so I left. And I was supposed to go to, back then, because Savannah State at the time was an FCS. We called it D1AA back then.
Right.
So before the portal and all that, if you were transferring, if you transferred lateral, you had to sit out a season.
Correct.
Right. In order for me to play, the next season, I would have had to transfer down. So I transferred down to a Division II, Fort Valley. And I didn't know much about Fort Valley. I would hear about it when I was in school, but I got down there and it was, the middle of nowhere. But what I did know that I said, it's a program and it's a tradition. Like football is a tradition here. So when I went on a visit, I saw that and I was like, I think I want to be a part of this.
Okay.
So I went on these visits. I went to Johnson C. Smith. I went to Fort Valley. Me and my dad went to Coastal Carolina. During the fall, after fall semester, that break before winter semester, that whole break, we went on visits and we fell in love with Fort Valley. I got there and I had to fight for a job then in the spring with now a really good friend of mine. At the time, we were rivals. We couldn't see, what it was, but now we're really good friends. But we fought for the job.
Call his name, Coach. Call his name.
Nate Sammis. My dog,
okay.
Nate. Man. He's from Americus, Georgia.
Okay.
And he's a year younger than me, and we fought, man. And I wound up winning the job, and we became good friends. And he wound up starting his senior year at Fort Valley. He did really, really well. But that's how I was able to be a 4-year collegiate starter. And there was a lot of tribulation in that time. It wasn't all good,
Sure.
It wasn't. You play a lot of football, you do a lot of good stuff, and then there's gonna be some real stuff you do like, dang, why did I do that? And I'm on scholarship, and they got kids behind me on scholarship. So, like you said, like that pressure at a young age, like I was able to deal with it, and it really just prepared me for life. Me, at the age I am now, with a family and just, tribulations, they come, they come and go in life, and I've been able to really just, you know, stay afloat and just deal with it based upon, that foundation that was laid by playing, collegiate and, high school football.
Coach, hang with me, man. I'm gonna take this quick timeout, man, and come back, and we're gonna chop it up a little bit more after we take this timeout. I've got the great Garrett Williams, Coach 10, as they call him
Hey.
nowadays. And we're going to come back and talk a little bit more with Coach 10 after we take this quick timeout break. Want you to know that, hey, I've been telling you we're increasing our merchandise. We got something new for you. We now have the quarter 5-back warm-up. It's in our colors. It's a very nice warm-up. Those are our colors. Those are the trims, the accents. Our logo is on the jacket and on the pants of this warm-up. Only $89.99 for sizes small through extra large, at an additional $20 for 2X through 4X. This is a phenomenal buy with this particular warm-up. Got good weight to it, feels good, looks good. So this is now available to you. All you have to do is go online to Quarter 5 Back. You can hit us up there. Send us an email message about what you want to do, and send us your payment via Zelle at 904-994-2189. Give us your size. Make sure you give us the right size now, because we don't do refunds right away, because we get these things custom made. They're custom made just for you. So if you think that you need a little bit of extra room, make sure you tell us that, because when you get it and be like, oh, it's a little snug, like, well, that's the size you said, and they make it just for you. But that's what we got coming along. We already told you about our T-shirts, our sublimation T-shirt with the logo, our logo T-shirt with the Quarter 5 Back with the logo on it. So now we've got our warm-up coming along. And the other thing is, don't forget to get you a copy of the Forgotten QBs, the historical book with the facts, statistics, little-known information about Black quarterbacks from 1903 to 1990. Phenomenal book that I put together, gives you a lot of historical information. The Forgotten QBs. Again, go to our website, click on the book icon, tell us how you want us to send you your book. It's free shipping, $35 for the book, but this is one of those books you must have in your library if you are a sports fan, especially if you're a football fan. The Forgotten QBs, the little known history of Black quarterbacks who played American football. And then lastly, of course, if you want to join us and support us, here's an opportunity to be a teammate. Send us $44 and you become a teammate of Quarter 5 Back for 1 year. You get a Quarter 5 Back logo T-shirt, you get your decal, and you get a certificate stating that you are a current member of Quarter 5 Back. We hope that you will join us. $44 for that. $25 if you just want to get the special logo T-shirt. And if you just want to be at the minimum level of supporting us, hey, send us $4.40 to be a supporter of Quarter 5 Back. However you send it to us via Zelle, and let us know that you like what we're doing here and you want to support our efforts to preserve the legacies of Black quarterbacks who played this game of American football since 1900. So help us out. Send us your donation, send us your membership, subscribe to us, however you got to do it, but give us some support and keep it going here at Quarter 5 Back. Once again, my guest tonight is Coach Garrett Williams, former player at Savannah State before he finished his college career at Fort Valley. Coach, you say you fell in love with Fort Valley State when you got there, even though it's in the middle of nowhere. But that legacy of that football tradition at Fort Valley is like a lot of schools, man. They value that very much. They take it serious at Fort Valley, I know.
Absolutely.
So during that time you were there, you said, you're fighting it out with a good friend, and y'all became good friends. And even though y'all best friends, y'all still fighting out for that quarterback position. Mm-hmm. What are some of the intangible things of being a quarterback that you think are important for guys at the collegiate level to be made aware of? I mean, what do they really need to kind of zero in on if they want to be a quality quarterback at the collegiate level?
I think excellent leadership And
Okay.
I think leadership a lot of times can be looked upon as, something very generic. But being a leader at that position, in any position in life, I believe, servant leadership,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is the biggest thing. And I think, and that goes back to biblical terms. If you talk about Moses being a servant leader, I think that's what a quarterback should be. The guy who it's not only just, hey, saying, but doing, it's moments I remember when I won my teammates over. It wasn't just, because of my athleticism and my size or my arm strength. It was, if we're doing a reverse, I'm going out to make that extra block, or instead of
Right.
me sliding, me taking a hit across the middle, you
Yep.
know, for that first down, or, things of that nature. Or I'm lifting with the linebackers instead of, the skill position guys. Like,
Yep.
that's where you win your teammates, That's
Okay.
that's where you win them. And
You know,
yes,
it's
sir. So
interesting you say that because when I hear you say that, I think about uh, uh, quarterbacks who are at one team, go to another team. They're the new
mhm.
guy in the locker room. They're the quarterback. They're the leader now. You've been handed the
Oh
baton,
boy.
but
Yes.
guys not feeling you yet. You got to show them. You got to prove to them that was you, right? You got to prove to them that you are the guy that the
Yep.
coach has entrusted, because right now the only friend you got is the head coach.
Right. So to just pretty much elaborate on what you said, like our coach, he brought in, like, he was a first year guy prior to me getting there. So his
Okay.
second year, it was a pressure year for him because they had a losing season at Fort Valley, and that's just not heard of. So he brought in a lot of transfers, and I wasn't the only one. So a lot of us, we stuck together, but it was us versus them. But we
Okay.
had to kind of, eventually come together. And I remember a defining moment for us coming together was when I came into camp. Of course, I'm a rising junior coming into camp,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
all the freshmen coming in, they called them crabs, will have to shave their heads at camp and, recite, the Fort Valley song. So what I did was, before I went to camp, I was at home. I said, Dad, I said, shave it off, bro. Just shave I said, I'm going into camp like one of the freshmen. So I came in bald headed, and I was the first one to, sing the Fort Valley song in front of everybody. And I just wanted to set the tone, like, look, hey, we're gonna all come together. We're gonna have a good season. Like, there's no pride, there's no, there's humility, no pride.
Right. Right.
And I just wanted them to know, like, look, hey, we're all in this together. Some of us are new, some of us have been here, but we got to figure this thing out. We all want to stay here. We want to be here. We're gonna have to play together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was one of those moments, like, hey, like, okay, you know what I'm saying? And then outside of me having a really good spring game too, but it was just like in a really good summer, because I stayed down there that summer, got bigger,
Okay.
faster, stronger. But coming into camp, I just really wanted to set the tone. Like, look, now the season's here. It's camp time. It's time to play.
Okay. So it's basically like you were a freshman two times.
Yes. Yeah. 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 It was, man. It was. It was.
so
So.
so in this day and time, because the newest thing that creates issues for these guys, and they disgruntled and not happy with it. Now that we have this portal thing,
Mm.
uh portal, good or bad, yes or no, in your opinion?
Ah, I don't like it, man.
You don't?
I don't. I do, but I feel like it should be a cap on how many times these kids transfer, because I'm seeing kids, go to 3, 4 different schools in, 4 years. And it's like, what kind of message are you sending out by doing that? Especially when you're playing quarterback. Like, you're at a different school every year. Like, what is the what is it about this kid? Does he not like competition? Does he not like adversity? Like them type of things, kind of like, I don't know. Like 3 to 4 schools is, I don't know. It just seems to get, worse and worse. And I say this because now, like, high school kids are doing it. Like, high school kids are doing it.
Coach Garrett, I apologize, man. Technology happens.
No, it's all good, man.
Okay. So anyway, you say you don't like the portal.
Right.
And I'm like, I understand that. I think it's got pluses and minuses, but for the most part, I think it has it's not for everybody.
No.
It's not for everybody.
And I feel like it's affecting like a lot of high school kids. I also feel like it's encouraging high school kids now to transfer a lot because they even call, quote unquote, on social media, you'll hear people call, kids jumping into the high school portal, and they announce it. They announce it just like college kids. Like, we had 3 or 4 kids transfer from my high school, that I coach at currently, in the last couple of weeks. And then, they're making announcements, they're making flyers, like, they're going to different schools. And, I wish the best for these kids. I just hope, they know what they're getting into and understand that the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Absolutely.
So, that's just.
Well, I think, when you say it affects the high schools, I was not aware that it has gotten to the point where these high school kids are being affected to the point where, they're now doing things and moving and bouncing around. I mean, because I know there have been situations where kids can be at one school, they move to another area, and they play for a different school. I mean, that has been going on, but now this portal thing, especially for these guys in college, man, they jump in that portal, and if they don't get picked up, they kind of stuck. And
They
then
are.
it's like, okay, what are you going to do now? Because you thought they
Right.
wanted you, and they got somebody they really wanted, but
Right.
now you stuck.
Right.
And now you want to go back, and the coach like, hey, we filled up, man. We can't take you back.
Right. So that's the thing. And I will encourage, my sons, if they are blessed to, have the opportunity to play collegiate sports, and that's what they do. If your school is paid for, man, and like I tell kids, like, of course, it looks like a 4-year scholarship, but it's really year to year. So if your scholarship is, your money is secure for the next year, let's really sit down and discuss what you're really trying to do. Because if you're leaving, and your tuition is secured, what are we really doing? You need to fight for a position, hey, man up and fight for it. It's going to just teach you how to be a better man, in my opinion.
Hey, Coach, so do they recognize that, hey, man, you either going to fight for the position here or fight where you're going? I mean, you still got to fight.
You got to fight. Nothing's going to be given to you, man.
No, they're not going to give you the spot.
They're not going to give it to you.
Right.
And even in my predicament, I left because it was just I needed to leave Savannah State. Sure. And I knew wherever I was going to go, it wasn't going to be handed to me. I was coming in, I was going to have to fight. And when I came in to Fort Valley, there were 6 quarterbacks, 6.5. We had a guy who played receiver and quarterback. So 7 in that spring. We had 7 quarterbacks, and our quarterback coach, he said by the end of the spring, I'm going to have 3 guys in green jerseys. And those are going to be, the guys who were pretty much the 3 on the depth chart. And, these guys dropping like flies. We kind of knew, the cream. I knew I was like, shoot, the cream going to rise to the top, so I'm good.
Right.
And that's just, and that's how these guys have to think. But this generation is very microwave, instant gratification. Social media it's a tool. It is a tool. It's a gift, but it's a curse too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, Coach, that's why we need people who understand how that works.
Right.
We need people who can advise and give them the real thing. I mean, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. You don't have to believe me. You can listen to somebody else and think that what they're telling you is the gospel, but I'm going to be honest with you. And hey, man, you're not working hard, or you're just, 5'9" quarterback. Hey, son, it's not going to be too many places that's going to look for you to be that quarterback. So don't act like you're going to get that spot when you leave high school. High school is one thing. You could do that in high school. But when you go to that next level, man, as you go up, the numbers get smaller.
You hit a nerve with a good nerve, because that whole 5'9", it's conversations that I've had with certain kids, and they got to understand, bro, it's a big world out there. It's just not Atlanta. It's just not Clayton County. There's a lot of kids out here to play this position, So, you're right. You definitely hit one with that one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And they need to be told, because
yes,
if you don't tell them prior to getting there, when they go to the college and they thinking, well, I'll just walk on.
Right.
And the coach tells you, well, hey, son, we already pretty much said at quarterback.
Right.
I remember when I was working at Bethune-Cookman as a sports information director, I took some of my baseball players to a workout.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, this is what the guy at the minor league level, it was about 100 and some guys coming to this workout for baseball. This is what he told them. If you are not better than what we already got in the system, you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not better than what we got, you fooling yourself, because you're not going to get a shot.
Right.
And the same thing happens for these kids. I know everybody wants to play at the next level. I get it.
Right.
However, the reality of life is not everybody's going.
No.
Not everybody's going to get that opportunity. Hey man, if you were great in high school and you had a phenomenal high school career and it don't go any further than that, be thankful that you got blessed to have that, because that might be all you got. That
Absolutely.
might be all you got. So, but kids, they got people in that other ear telling them, yeah, 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 oh, you can do it, okay, man. And
And
then,
it is people that don't really understand or haven't seen the other side that be in their ear a
right,
lot, and I'm
right,
seeing that formula, like,
okay,
and I just always stay humble, and I hear them out, but then I just give them my advice and I sit back, so.
okay, okay. Coach, in your training of these young men at the quarterback positions, can you give us the names of some of the guys who've been some of the more outstanding talents you've worked with?
Oh yeah, man. Off top, Armand Parker. He's a rising senior. Has one offer from Morehouse right now.
Okay,
Uh, was top 5 in the state Class 4A in Georgia in passing yards. Threw for 2,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8
yeah,
rushing touchdowns. So collectively 3,200 yards on the season. Looking to have a huge senior season. Justin Murphy, rising junior,
hey man,
4-star.
Justin been on the show already.
Man, he just texted me too. Like, Coach, how's the podcast going, man? He texted me about 5 minutes ago. So and I've known him since he was like 13, man, since he was in 8th grade. So just to see
Okay,
him grow with me is a beautiful thing, man. And he has
yeah,
a promising career.
yeah,
He's a kid that's
yeah,
going to be playing on CBS, ABC on Saturdays, man. I think our mom will too. Those
okay,
bigger offers are coming because he has a power 4 arm, a P4 arm.
okay,
Yeah, P4 arm.
okay,
Some of my younger kids, Justin Alto, he's a rising 10th grader from Jonesboro.
okay,
QJ Rainey, he's a rising 6th grader, made a national 7-on-7 team. And I played against his dad at Valdosta State. His dad was a right tackle. His dad's 6'7". The kid's gonna be huge.
ooh,
Um,
ooh,
but
okay,
his mom brings him to training 3 times a week, and I've had him since like March. So he's
okay,
one of those kids. He's a project kid,
yeah,
and I get to have my hands like on his process 3 times a week.
okay,
So it's like when I have kids like that, I tell my parents like, hey, consistency really, when your kid is talent and consistent, like I promise you, everything you want, it's gonna come into fruition.
okay,
Um, Let me see, Caden Worley at Ola High School, very talented. Jordan Gaines, another kid I have twice a week, up and coming
okay,
10th grader at Union Grove. Man, I got so many kids, Coach. I'm not gonna lie
okay.
to you.
Hey, well, that's why we do what we do, man,
Yeah,
because we
man, I
want to
can
know
keep
about these
going.
young men. We do a watch list every year.
Yeah,
My watch list keeps growing with these guys. I mean, now I'll tell you this, Coach. Y'all play football up there in Georgia. Now, let me tell you,
for
y'all
sure.
play
No, we
football,
do. I'm not gonna lie.
okay?
It's a lot of talent. It's
A lot. And
it's a lot of talent.
okay, and after seeing him, just his stats in ninth grade, when I found out about Juju Lewis, I was telling everybody, I said, man, it's a ninth grade kid throw for 4,000 yards. They're like, what? I'm like, ninth grade,
Right,
4,000 yards,
right,
40-some touchdowns.
right,
He the deal.
right.
And after seeing him in his sophomore year play against Prentice Nolan, when they
Yeah,
played the first game of the season in 2023, man, I was like, this boy, he is the truth.
man, database though, bro. Like, and then like, I had a chance to meet his dad. I went to a Georgia game,
Okay.
Georgia Tennessee game,
Okay.
and I know one of his trainers. And the kid's database, like he's been doing it for so long.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it's just like his database, his gigabytes are just way bigger than everybody else's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just when it comes to playing this position, like the repetition, it matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
and he has it, and he's gotten it from elite trainers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
it matters.
hey man, like I said, uh, just by me doing this for the past 3 years and doing my watch list and seeing how many black quarterbacks I've
Right.
had on my watch list over the past 3 years and how it grows. And last year, DJ Lagway was the guy that won our award. The year before that, the first guy that would ever win the award was Prentice Nolan from Langston Hughes High.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Air. They call him Air. We call him Air Nolan though down here.
Yeah, Air Nolan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So just to see these guys, man, and
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal thing, and I'm so happy that the man upstairs has blessed me to do this as my ministry, because
Amen.
a lot of people could have done it, but as I tell people, I say, well, he must have saved this for me to do because I'm doing it. So
1,000%.
So I'm just excited about it, man, and like I said, just to be able to do this. So it is definitely a joy, man, and a blessing, and I'm just so happy. When my son told me that he had reached out to you, y'all had communicated, man, and you wanted to come on the show, I was like, well, let's get him on, man. I mean,
Yeah, man.
Coach Tim, get him on. Let's do this.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
so, man,
yeah.
We are happy about it, and we close out the show because it's about time for us to wrap up, man. But thank you for coming on. But before you leave, I have to tell you, when you come on the show and you finish here, we tell everybody, hey man, welcome to Quarterfied Back, because you are now a fraternity member of the fraternity. You're now
I'm in two fraternities now.
Yeah, you will get your certificate and you will get your letter stating that you are a member of Quarterfied Back, this fraternity, the preeminent fraternity for black quarterbacks, man. And we just want to keep it going. So any guy you got that you want to share getting on the show with us, man, or anybody you know that played who was a black quarterback that is willing to want to just talk to us like we did tonight, man, we're open ears, open arms. Like I said, your boy Justin Murphy, we got him on. We got the kid out of Norcross area, Darnell Kelly.
Yeah. Did y'all get Kelvin Durham, Fort Valley? He just transferred to Johnson C. Smith. The quarterback at Fort Valley, KD, Kelvin Durham.
Oh yeah, we talked. Yeah, we I think we had him on. Yeah.
I train him too.
Okay. Yeah. So we getting in touch with him, man, and it's a process, and it's a 1-by-1 process. But everybody who gets in this, man, we're like, hey man, you're in the fraternity now, man. You say Q5B, and somebody say, man, what's Q5B?
Yeah.
Q5B, man. Q5B. Quarterfied back, man. So we want to just welcome you to the fraternity and thank you for being a part of what we're doing, Coach. So major blessings to you and your family. Continue to do what you're doing to grow those young men up and train them up and teach them up, man, and make sure that they're a total citizen, a total person, man, and not just football players, because it's important.
I appreciate that.
All right, man. Appreciate you. We'll be in touch.
All right, brother. I'll see you soon.
All right, man. That's Coach Garrett Williams, Coach 10, as they call him. As we get ready to close out, we want to let you know that we are doing this new thing now. So posthumously, to go with Coach 10 tonight, Coach Garrett Williams, our posthumous inductee tonight will be the great Frederick Fritz Pollard. Frederick Fritz Pollard. We're inducting him posthumously into the fraternity of black quarterbacks. He was the first African-American head coach in the NFL way back in the 1920s. Frederick Fritz Pollard. He is our posthumous member of Quarterfied Back tonight. That's going to wrap it up for me tonight. I want to thank my crew for being with us to make this happen. Will Relaford, our photographer, Kemal Lazir, our social media director, our consultant, Dr. Will Kitchings, and my number one person, Ms. Ronline Kennedy. Thank you so very much for making this happen. So until next Monday night, as we always say, go deep, go for the bomb. See you next Monday night. Take care.